What's up, guys? Happy Sunday. Earl at Sumo Bully Kennels. First, want to say thank you to everyone who has supported the channel, liked and subscribed. Thank you very much. If you're new to the channel, welcome and have a seat. Enjoy. Before we get going, though, in gentleman fashion, let's shake on it. Handshake agreement. Please like and subscribe. We promise to deliver you quality content. And the best part is it's free, right? So if you're watching from your phone, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe. It only takes a second. I'll wait for you. Okay, now that you hit it, thank you very much. And we're going to get on with our show. So welcome to our new series, Sumo and Samba. That's what we've dubbed this series. Meet my co-host, the beautiful Araya of Samba Kennels. For those of you
Sumo,
not familiar,
how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Hello, everybody.
So yeah, if you guys are not familiar with Araya, she is known in the U.S. for Amazing Boy, Mr. Klaus, an amazing Brazilian dog that is bringing tremendous substance to our industry. She has been involved in breeding, showing, and transporting dogs for the last 18 plus years. She brings a wealth of knowledge and experience that most breeders do not possess. She is, in fact, my breeder as well. As I promised you guys, I'd bring people on the show who are smarter than me so that we can all grow and learn as a community, right? Without further ado, Miss Araya with Samba Kennels.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, or good morning, or good day.
Good afternoon,
depending on
right?
the time you're watching. Good afternoon. Nice to be here again. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be here with y'all, sharing some of the information and experience that I have in the bullies and in dogs in general.
We got a very exciting topic for you guys today.
Yeah.
Lots to talk about today. It is, some people love it, some people don't, some people are indifferent. Either way, we're going to talk about it. You guys are going to hear about it, and I'm sure you guys are interested. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's topic. Is it called Brazilian XL bullies or pitmonster? First of all.
Man, this is a big discussion. I believe that because of the history and how the breed was formed, the name pitmonster is very attached to the culture and the history of the XL bullies in Brazil. Okay, but the concept is pretty much the same. The breeds that formed the XL bullies are the same breeds that have been forming the pit monsters. Okay, so basically, some people prefer to call them, even in Brazil, Brazilian breeders prefer the terminology of pit monster. Others prefer the XL bullies. There are differences by the Brazilian registry, whether it's an XL bully or it is a pit monster. But here in the US, the concept, because it is the same, our registries accept as XL American bullies from Brazil.
Okay. Well, thank you for the clarification. So in Brazil, if I were going to ask somebody about looking at these type of dogs, I would refer to them as a pit monster, correct?
That is correct. Even though some people are trying to separate the terminology to Brazilian bullies, which would be the same as XL bullies and pit monsters. But so far, we're talking about the present, and so far the concept is the same. They do have American bullies in shows that are separate from pit monsters, but those are for the smaller bullies, the pockets, the standards, the micros,
okay,
and the exotics.
Cool. Okay. How about this? I'm curious about this one, and maybe you can clarify for me, is that can you give us a brief kind of like history lesson on like the Brazilian pit monster, because it is so tied to the American XL? Like, did it something that came from here went there and they started breeding them? Like, can you tell us a little bit about the history of that?
Yes, the whole history of the pit monster starts way back in 1980s when the first pits were imported to Brazil. I know a lot about that history, but let's try to make it faster. So let's fast forward in time around the end of the 90s. The pit bulls were so famous and so popular in Brazil. And the way that it started, it's a whole nother episode because there's a lot of history on the pit bulls, but they became so popular that the community, the pit bull lovers, they wanted to get bigger and better muscled pit bulls because, as everybody knows, the real pit bull is a working dog, which is a very tiny dog, very lightweight, very athletic, and for function. And they were formed. The breed was formed for combat. So that is a very important part of the history because so many people fell in love with the pits, but the registry in Brazil up to this day does not. Let's explain. FCI is a huge world cynological organization that has entities in every country. Okay, it's considered a major registry for dogs in the world. It's much bigger than AKC, for example, because it's present in almost every country. I'm sorry, in the world. So FCI has a entity that is an official FCI club in Brazil, which is called CBKC. That's our registry. That's our entity for registration of pedigrees. The pit bulls, because of their fame and because of their unfortunate, everything that becomes very popular ends up in wrong hands. And because of the pit bulls' temperament, because they were dogs with a lot of game, with a lot of drive, they were imported to Brazil, and the popularity of the breed took such a big proportion that everybody wanted to have a pit. But the registry did not recognize the American Pit Bull Terrier. So because of the pits, we had another segment of the pit bull that was a second breed, and that we're talking, in the 70s. Forgive me if I'm wrong about these breeds because they're not really my expertise, but I'm talking about from what I know. We weren't able to put pit bulls in the shows because the registry wouldn't recognize them. And also, they were very gamey, they were very athletic, and they had other functions. And the registry didn't want to have that kind of notorious dog, notorious for being aggressive with other dogs, never with human, but this being so popular, they started ending up in wrong hands, like many breeds do, and lots of accidents happened. So people wanted to have a pit bull, but they didn't want to have a pit bull. So they started having Staffordshires, American Staffordshire Terriers. The American Staffordshire Terriers is a more elite kind of pit. It comes from the same breed. So the pit bull actually is the beginning of everything. Correct. Even the American Bully is a breed from the pits because everybody wanted to change the pit either to a more social dog or to a more elite dog, more designed as far as proportions and beauty, or especially for temperament. And then what we call the pit boys became very popular with the pit boys, the guys from the beach in Brazil that do jiu-jitsu. They are very associated to these tribes that has to do with fighting and with beaches, and so this breed brought a lot of excitement to dog lovers, but not everybody wanted to handle a pit. So the registries in Brazil incorporated the American Staffordshire Terrier to actually participate in the shows, okay? And only people that had a lot of money at that time could actually import these dogs, and that's how they started in Brazil. They wanted pits, but they didn't want all the characteristics of the pits. So fast forwarding a little bit, what happened was, some breeders that had pit bulls, they wanted to have stronger and more muscular looking dogs. So they started selecting the bigger pits, the more muscular pit bulls, and the ones with a higher height, taller, height, and more muscles, bigger heads, and they started selecting that. And of course, that started catching the attention of many people because they were not considered pit bulls anymore. Even the traditional pit bull terriers, American pit bull terriers breeders were kind of having like fights with these guys breeding these tall and muscular dogs because they were already not looking like the traditional pit bulls anymore. So when it comes to the first American bully that was actually imported to Brazil was in 2006, if I'm not mistaken. And at the same time that the first American bully was imported to Brazil, it was also imported the first pitmonster, or the first XL bully, which was a Chevy. And he went to the central east of Brazil, the central part of Brazil, to a person that breeds the Chevys until this date, which is a very important bloodline. So that's the most important part that I'm going to talk about, because I think that this is where the dogs that everybody know come from. In 2006, Ronaldo Barcelos and Rudinei, two breeders, longtime pit bull breeders from Brazil, they imported their first American bullies. The American bullies that they imported were from the line of Corrupt, and Corrupt had in their past Razor's Edge from Dave Wilson and Gotti line. For example, Juan Gotti. They imported, yes, exactly. So they imported two dogs. One was called the Godfather of Corrupt, and the female called Lady of Corrupt. That breeding, and they bred them. That breeding brought a dog called Mr. Wide. In the pedigree, he was called Born to be Wide, already in Brazil. And that dog was bred to a Camelot, which was also one import dog from, those big red Camelots, the pits that were taller and bigger and muscular that we were talking about. Yeah. That was an individual that was bred to this dog, and gave the result of that breeding gave us Balgatti SP2, which is actually Big Block and Aiken's grandmother.
Got it.
So I'm just trying to make an association with a dog that you guys know. So for the ones that don't know, Big Block is Klaus' great-grandfather, and it's also Brasila's great-grandfather, and it's also in the pedigree of my new boy Tractor. He's the great-grandfather too. So just so you see how we are so close, this history in Brazil is so young compared to the history of the bullies here in the US. And this is also why we have the interference or the influence of so many other lines that were American, but for example, the Chevys, the Camelots, the Thompsons, these dogs are the base of the American bully, the XL bullies in Brazil, or the pit monsters. And that's why this explains or justify the type difference. That's why the dogs from there, you can always tell, oh, they're from there. And also from another characteristic that's a little more recent that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But anyways, just so you have an idea how recent it is, we're talking only 2006. That's when the first dogs were imported. And one guy that's very, very well recognized in Brazil is Dr. Rogelio Piloni from Star Red. He is the breeder of the father of Akan and Big Block. And he was the one that bought, okay, these guys, the same guys that imported Godfather from Corrupt and Lady, they also imported a female called Wonder, Eighth Wonder, pregnant from Dax. Gaudy line Dax. We're talking, early 2000s. So they imported Eighth Wonder, pregnant from Dax. And from that breeding, we had 3 dogs. One was, at least that I know of, Puma female, Anthrax, and the third one was Cashpot 2. Cashpot is also, Cashpot was bought by Dr. Piloni, which I'm going to have the pleasure to interview this week. And we're going to talk about all of this history, but unfortunately it's going to be in Portuguese. I'm going to try to do some magic to translate it and repost it. But he knows all this history, better than anybody to talk about how it all started. So basically, that's how it started, by a demand, a commercial demand for bigger and more muscular and bigger heads pit bulls. And they started introducing, but at the same time, the old school breeders, the OGs, they didn't want just size, they wanted structure. And it's a no-brainer. When you want structure, you don't want to have 2 tall dogs, because you're going to lose the mass. So they started going for the shorties, So they bought Piloni's first American Bully was Cashpot 2, that came from Dax and Wonder, the first female imported from Brazil, pregnant from Dax. And not the first, because Lady was the first. And Wonder was and this breeding was closed on Romeo, on Dax's father, because Dax is Romeo and Barbie, and Wonder was Romeo and Chola. So they're half brother and sister, they're half siblings, and they bred them together. That's who gave us Cashpot. So it's a beautiful history, and we have this genes so close to our dogs right now. It's almost like crazy, like how old or how young Brazilian history of the pit monsters is compared to the US. And that's it. And I mean, they wanted dogs that are better structured, more muscular. And the thing is, and everybody knows this, the Camelot blood, they are known for being the red dogs, they have very strong temperament, or they used to have very strong temperament. So these breeders, because the pit monsters are a company breed, they wanted to select not only better and healthier dogs, but they also wanted to select temperament. And this is talking to Piloni. This is one of the reasons that he chose Cashpot, because he was the nicest, sweetest dog of the litter. And that's where Homer, which is Big Block's and Akan's dad, came from this dog that Dr. Piloni bought. That was the first son of Dax in Brazil. There were 2, but he was one of them.
Okay. So now understanding that the beginning was roughly 2004 then?
I think it
For
was
the actual XLs.
2006.
Or 06,
Yeah.
06.
Yeah,
But prior to that, there's always been a strong affliction or love for the pit bull terrier.
yes, always. And then, commercial appeal and the community appeal. Everybody wanted to see a stronger pit bull, but also they wanted the better temperament. They wanted a sweet dog, so they started creating dogs and selecting dogs with a better temperament.
And so now is in terms of the popularity, and we'll stay within the pitmonster or XL bullies. What is the reach down there of popularity in Brazil?
What do you mean?
More the younger people,
Mostly, it started with the pit boys, the jiu-jitsu guys, the MMA fighters, and they were very, very big in Rio and in the beach cities, because that's where they have these muscular guys that go to the beach and they surf and they go to fights and they want to have a pit. And a lot of the breeders have that lifestyle, but many breeders, especially the OGs in the pits, are older guys. They're, like I said, the first people that actually started importing them, they're actually even older than you and me, and they had good capital to actually invest in imported bloodlines. And we're talking about the working pit bulls, but also when they started selecting, some of them started already selecting the bigger and the taller ones because they wanted to see a bigger pit. And nowadays we have every household has a pit monster or a pit bull because they're very sweet dogs. Even the American pit bull terriers in Brazil, they're very accepted, I guess, because we do have of course we had accidents like everywhere else in the world, but that's usually at the top end of the lead, that's where the problem is, not the dogs itself.
Got you. And in terms of the current state, right? So now we're in 2024. In terms of the current state of the temperament of, let's say, the pit monster, where would you say that stands?
The temperament?
Yes.
Right now, well, by the standard, and we're going to talk about the standard in a little bit, but by the standard, that's one of the main characteristics because it is not a working dog. It is a company dog. It's a pet. They're supposed to be the best pets, very loving and very loyal. And this is why, because of this issue, and also because of phenotypical attributes that they wanted to introduce to the breed or to enhance some traits of the breed, they started inserting what we call the insertions of the American Bulldog breeds in Brazil. Is very present to give the temperament that was lacking at that time in some of the individuals of pit monsters.
Okay, so everyone currently in Brazil that is involved with the breed, purely not a working class dog at all?
Not at all. Okay. Some people work their dogs, it shows their athleticism, it shows their resistance, and this is something that we want, healthy dogs. But we also know that these big muscular dogs, they having some bulldog in them, there are limitations, and we don't want to get them hurt. But the breed was not made, and some of them are amazing athletes. They can run for hours. They can hang on tires. They have the same drive as the pit, but with a better demeanor. Is that the word? A little less hot-blooded. Yeah, exactly.
Because pit, I've had pits all my life, and they will go. So yeah, no, it makes sense. So would you
So you
say?
understand a little bit of what I'm telling you here.
Oh no, absolutely. And I grew up with pits, had them all my life. So, would you say there is a difference between the American XL Bully versus the Brazilian Pit Monster?
Oh, yes. Well, like I said, the concept, not really, but the breeds that formed in Brazil have a bigger influence of pit bulls, okay,
Okay.
and staff, and American Staffordshire. But of course, we also introduced to form and to make a shorter back dog and to make a more round forehead, a better jawline. They also introduced, and also for the temperament, they introduced the old English bulldogs or the American bulldogs for those traits to get, closer, which is absolutely accepted in Brazil because such a young breed still needs this type of insertions to be formed. And so the stud books are still open in Brazil, which means they do accept certain matching that are from two different breeds as a pit monster, as long as it is revised by the registry. They will check. And I think that is very positive, especially when you have a breed that comes with so many health problems. It can have so many health problems if the gene pool is not big enough that you always have to line breed and inbreed, and then you end up having, cardiology problems, cardiac problems, articulation problems, bones structure, and even temperament. So introducing these new breeds that are actually part of the American Bully formation here in the US is still accepted in Brazil. So basically the breed is much younger there, and the registry is clever enough to accept to a certain level, but I don't know for how long they will accept it, because they are still, they are doing it, but at any point they might say, okay, no F1s anymore. Now we have to close the books, and let's just work with the gene pool that we have.
And so for those who are not familiar with what an F1 is, can you explain that?
Yes, an F1 is a dog that is a product of two different breeds, okay? In this case, we're not talking about a mutt, because we are actually using two breeds of the same, of the formation of that breed that were used, and it still needs some kind of enhancement, still needs some kind of adaptations, and some traits are not balanced yet. For example, the temperament or the height or the volume or the head shape. So they still accept it, which is really good, because a lot of people do it everywhere in the world, or the stud books are not open anymore.
They call it hanging papers here.
Exactly.
Or if they won't accept it, you just hang the papers, right?
If they don't, yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. I mean, I think that's the best way to work it. But it has to be a stop at one point, because otherwise we're just going to have, instead of bettering the breed, we're going to start having.
Well, I'd rather. Okay, so let's just stay on that topic right there, because to me, I think it's important to address that, right? Making light of a situation of hanging papers by no means is it funny at all. One, I much rather prefer to get a paperwork with an F1. That way I'm clear of what's there. And as a breeder,
exactly,
I can responsibly address that and select, the right pairings. The problem is when you got a dog with hung papers, right? For those of you guys don't know, hanging papers basically means whoever they're saying the sire of the dog is not the true sire. Okay, just to simplify it. That becomes problematic, because if you are doing your homework on the genetic material and genealogy of the materials that you have, and you have a dog with hung papers, well, the decisions you're making, may or may not line up, right? And
exactly.
for me, I want to
And
take out
also,
the guesswork.
and also what's very important to understand when a breed is such a new breed in a country, that you want to enhance more than anything the temperament and the health of these dogs. And some breeds come with certain traits, health traits that are extremely fixed in the bloodlines, that you can only correct it with a healthy individual of another breed that is already considered one of the breeds that is forming, the breed. So it's not that you're using a German Shepherd on a pit bull or on a pit monster, So and that's the good thing, that most of the OG breeders in Brazil and some of the new guys are doing. They are going more for the health testing and selecting the best of the best.
Correct.
Individuals to introduce to this new phase of the pit monster.
Well, and just for clarity, I mean, all dogs have been bred by breeders to, to perform a duty, whether it's companionship, working, herding, protection, name it. I mean, look at how many dog breeds we have now. Let's not just talk about bullies, just in general. All those dogs were designed through breeding, right? So the influence of breeders to create different kind of dogs for different functions is exactly, so when people say, well, you're breeding, this dog that's a bunch of mixed breeds. Well, every dog is, though. It's selective breeding to create the dog for a particular look, conformation, and performance. And with every breed that exists out there, I don't care if it's a poodle, a schnoodle, a shepherd, that was purposely bred that way by us as people, as breeders, have created all these different breeds.
Yeah, how did a wolf transform itself on a French bulldog? You know what I mean? I mean, it is selection.
Correct.
It's the only word. So the breeders have a very important role when it comes to forming a breed or maintaining a breed in good health and in balanced-minded dogs, and that comes with selection.
Absolutely.
And I do believe that it's important. It's important to select, and also to select the owners that these puppies are going to, because one of the terrible results that we have when the dogs are very popular, or the breed is very popular, is that we have a lot of people that are not supposed to be breeders getting dogs for breeding purposes that are not breedable. And it's up to the breeders selling these puppies to actually understand and select where these dogs are going to, and if they are actually breedable dogs to pursue a lineage. Sometimes it's a temperament, sometimes it's the health of the puppy or the parents, so you have to really, it's a long discussion that we would have here, but at the end of the day, we need responsible breeders first and foremost in any breed.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise we're going to have problems like in all the breeds that we see,
Okay, so question for you. So the main registry
these are lives,
in Brazil?
Lives that were... The main registry is called IBC.
Okay.
International Bully Coalition, but we also have a BBR. It's the second biggest. That's for the pit monsters. CBKC by this day has not, the official registry of FCI until now has not recognized the pit bull terriers.
Okay.
It's one of the countries, CBKC, in the shows they can go, but they are under group 11. And you know what group 11
Nobody else is there
in Brazil? Because we don't have, it's like group 2 is like working group. Group 9 is like toy group. Group 11 in CBKC is breeds that are not recognized by FCI anywhere else, but it's recognized by CBKC in Brazil. So the pit bulls actually have a different color pedigree in CBKC because it's up to this date not recognized by CBKC as a breed. But they do recognize the American Staffordshires and the American bullies.
That's crazy.
Because of the temperament, because, the history anyways.
Okay, so question for you.
And a lot of, and Cashpot, I'm sorry, but Cashpot, he had a UKC, because this is a very interesting thing that I want to say. When the beginning of the breed started, when the bullies started being imported to Brazil or exported to Brazil, they didn't, and this is the evolution, like how things evolve. At that time, everybody wanted a UKC pedigree. They didn't want an ABKC pedigree at that time. And now everybody wants the opposite. Everybody wants an ABKC pedigree because their minds evolved with the reality, because ABKC is the biggest American bully kennel. Correct. Right now. So for example, Cashpot, when he was, Dax, when they imported him, the female wonder pregnant, the puppies were all UKC registers as pit bulls, those pockets, and they were pits. So that's a variety of breeds that we have that comes from the pits. So they have a very important role in the breed, especially down there in Brazil.
Awesome. And so in terms of that, right, if somebody here had interest in purchasing a dog from Brazil, how difficult or easy is it to take a dog from Brazil and register it with the ABKC in terms of the pitmonster or, XL bully, basically?
There's a lot of factors that will impact on it. First is what kind of registry that they are registered down there. Okay, that's the first and foremost, the main factor. Then they have to be analyzed by ABKC in order to be transferred to here and accepted. Not only first analysis is the registry. If they recognize the registry, for example, IBC is doable. Okay. Now they're going to look at the pedigree to see the genealogy of the dogs, and if there's no blank spaces too close to the individual, or if there's information missing. So as long as everything is good, then the owner has to be here and the dog has to be here in order to have it transferred. Okay. And then there's a series of paperwork and procedures that need to be done, but it is possible. Like, our dogs are all registered ABKC, right?
Absolutely.
My dogs are.
Absolutely.
I have.
Well, and the thing is, like,
I've had 7 bullies from Brazil. You have one for now. You have one, and they are all, they were registered. No problem.
Well, the thing is too is, like, I really want to encourage people who, want to think outside the box and be creative, right? To not be scared and take chances. To know that there is someone, a person out there that can help you, point you the right way if you did have interest in something. And that's why I want to shed light on the situation, is because, there are some amazing dogs out there and people do have interest, but they're also scared to take those chances because, you would hate to spend all that money only to get a dog with no papers, right? Because then it wouldn't be worth nothing.
Exactly.
So
that's right.
Okay, well, let's take a short break real quick. Tell us about your new amazing acquisition of Tractor, who I have on the screen, has been playing this whole time. Yeah.
Oh, really? Tractor is amazing. And what can I say? I mean, I didn't purchase him knowing him in person. And when he got here, some people don't know, but Tractor is a pit monster from Brazil, registered American bully at ABKC. He went through all the paperwork that we need to do, and And he, first of all, he is a grandson of Aiken, which is one of my favorite Brazilian XL bullies, or pitmonster, however you want to call.
So
That
he's a
is
legend
also
down there, basically.
Aiken is Big Block's brother from mom and dad, but they're just a repeat litter. They're not the same litter, but they
Got
are
it.
repeat. And they are two of the most well-known bullies from Brazil, Aiken and Big Block. And I was happy to own a Big Block two Aiken son and daughter, Berlin and Bartolina. And now I have a grandson, which is Tractor. So that bloodline is really in my heart. And also Aiken's owner is my best friend in Brazil. It's my mentor in Brazil, Lucas from NuVet Kennels, or NuVet Bullies _BR. That's his, if you can tag him, because he just lost his page in Instagram. So
Oh, no.
support my friend Lucas. And he was one of my mentors that taught me all this history. And he's a young guy, but he understands a lot of this history because he started in the pitmonster when he was like 8 years old, because his uncle, he started with these guys that I was talking to you about. So he's seen everything. And he resembles a lot of Aiken's shape, the body type.
Okay.
But my boy has, his grandfather is an Old English Bulldog, one of the best and most impressive and healthiest Old English Bulldogs from Brazil. His name is New Iron from Sunshine Bulls, which the breeder happens to be a very good friend of mine, and she's also the president of IBC, the main registry for the pit monsters in Brazil and the bullies.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
So, and I'm very honored.
Amazing.
Yes, and he's breed type, and he's muscular. He's, there are some things that I would like to improve in the puppies, even though he's perfect structure-wise, but some traits that I would love to see in that dog. I think he's going to be amazing with the American girls, especially with the girls that are line bred. They have those pretty blocky muzzles and faces, and I just see very good things happening for Tractor. And we got so much interest in Tractor. We already sold a lot of studs from him even before he was here. I mean, as soon as I posted him, everybody was interested. And he is the sweetest boy. We took a trip to Houston, me and my two boys, Klaus and Tractor, in the back seat. Of course, it was my first time with both of them, and I am very cautious because I was alone if something happens, so I had them on a crate, one in a crate and the other one loose. And then when we came back, I swapped them. In that one point, I think the crate was a little open, not open, but it was not locked. It was closed, but not locked, a metal crate in the back of my car. So it was the time for Klaus to go in the crate, and Tractor was loose. And I was having ice cream, and my boys love ice cream, both of them. I know Klaus always loved ice cream, so I gave him a little bit of ice cream because it was hot. And then I gave Tractor a little bit of ice cream with a spoon. I separated and I gave to them. And I think they got so excited that they wanted more ice cream. And I was driving back home, and Klaus broke out of the crate to look for some more ice cream.
God.
And there he was, beside Tractor, and Tractor was sleeping. He looked up and he didn't care. And Klaus kind of put his head on his back like this, and just like two big brothers. So this is what I love about the real bullies. That's how they should be. They should get along with each other. And this is one of the reasons that I'm stepping down from the doggos. I have my doggos, I have my co-ownerships, but as you know, I've been breeding Dogo Argentino for 18 years, but now I'm slowing down on them because they are much more intolerant with any other dog. So, and I'm tired of separating fights and having to be so cautious with them. I'm getting older too, my shoulder is hurt because of Dogo. So having two males just co-live in such peace and respect for each other, and for me, it's just amazing. It's an amazing breed. I'm very happy and pleased.
Absolutely. And in terms of your dual sire litter, if anybody was interested, is there anything still available there?
Yes, we have two females available from Klaus and one female from Berlin. The males, I don't want to sell them, so I'm keeping them for now. But of course, if I have a great offer, I have a chocolate stripe boy from Berlin, and I have a fawn dog, a fawn male dog, just like his dad, and he's turning out to be really handsome. But if I do have a good offer, I might sell him. So
got it. Okay. And
talk to me nice.
there you go. Be nice to the lady, right? Anyhow, guys, if you guys have interest in any of these Brazilian dogs out there and you follow some of them, as a person myself who has imported a dog from Brazil, certainly consult with Araya, use Araya. That way, whatever you're trying to do will go the way it's supposed to, because it went the way it's supposed to for me. And however, I picked the right person to guide me.
If I might interrupt you, don't forget, for the ones that don't know me and that are watching this episode for the first time, seeing me, I also own a shipping company, a dog international shipping company. So I facilitate. I can do the consulting for you that are interested in a Brazilian dog, to find a legit breeder, which is very important. Be careful buying online. And I also do the transportation facilitation for you. So and like I say, for the Brazilian dogs, I'm the whole package. I can help you. I can consult. I can find the dogs for you, give you a few options, and I can also bring them to your doorstep.
There you go. Dogo Jet, correct?
Dogo Jet.
Dogo Jet, guys. That's Araya's other company that deals with dog transport. So in terms of us, guys, if you're a fan of us as well, you already know Sumo Bully Kennels. We're US-based, tapping online. Internationally, doesn't matter. If you're looking for help with your business plan or structure, that's what I'm pretty good at. And also, a new exciting announcement for us is that we are shipping our dog food nationally now.
I heard that. I'm so excited. I was going to ask you. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
I just got tired of saying no to people.
Is it overnight? Is it overnight?
No, what it is we're deep freezing it into a block and then wrapping it so that the shipment is standard ground, which is more economical for people to get it. And I just got tired of saying no to people. I felt bad. Kept saying no to people. And then you
found a solution.
So I had to find a solution. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want it overnight, sure. You're just going to pay the overnight shipping.
So can I ask you something?
Sure.
If I want to buy, what is the average? Like for me, that I have 12 dogs, I'm not a normal customer. So let's say if I had 2 dogs and I want to buy a portion from you, how much do you recommend?
Oh, are you feeding straight? Are you mixing with kibble?
Let's say that I want straight. How much would I buy every 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, I would calculate fun. I would ask you, what is your storage for freezer space like? Because that's going to determine how much you can order at a time.
Just for them. Okay. And then two,
I would say, how big are your dogs? Because you typically, if you have adult dogs who want to feed 3% of their body weight daily. So, there's a couple of factors, and right now, because it's not fully automated yet to ask you all those questions, a lot of that, you're really just messaging me and I'm working it out with you. Again, we're still working on all the integral pieces so that anyone can just jump on, click, buy, and you get your stuff. But for now, we are working it out. So
exciting.
No, it's very exciting. I just feel bad saying no to everyone. So I decided to find a way where people can get what I'm talking about and be able to give it to their dogs. It's something different.
And
Absolutely
the
something different.
athleticism. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a Q&A real quick. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what attributes does the Brazilian blood bring to our industry?
Um, muscles, for sure. Muscle expression, head size, forehead mass, jaw mass, athleticism, and most importantly, temperament. Amazing temperament dogs, very sweet dogs, very calm dogs. Um, and of course, this is an individual case to case, but in general, we have dogs that are very, very attached to the owner, that are very loving, but they're also good guardians. You know, they will notify you that there's something wrong. Some of them are more confident than others. Some of them are more like pack leaders, and they're more dominant, but they're extremely, extremely sweet and loyal to the owners.
I would say that that's true for my girl. She goes crazy about me. The thing is, she's an adult girl, and we have some adults on the yard, so the transition takes time for everyone to kind of settle down and get to know each other. However, yeah, she is just very loving and sweet to me, so I'd have to agree with that. Let's review a few key points for our viewers. Pit monsters versus American XL bullies. Starting with the face. Can
Well,
you speak on that one?
I guess today, like I said, the concept of the breed is the same, the exact same breed. But because of the influences of different territories, you know, different location and different influences of ancestral individuals, we have dogs that have a little less, they have blockier heads, but not as blocky muzzles. So we do have a tendency to have a little pointier muzzle in some individuals, which I think it's very correctable in the first generation. And also I see the bullies in Brazil, the XL bullies in Brazil, or the pit monsters in Brazil, we do tend to have eyes that are a little more close together, and that comes from the influences of the bulldogs in them in such recent insertions. So that's also another trait that it's easy to correct. That's something that I would like to improve in my dogs along the lines. And this is, you know, in one generation, I already have great results for that.
Yeah, I would say, especially to a very line-bred American female, you could definitely water that down fairly simply to put. I don't know. I like the necks on the Brazilian dogs. I like the heads. I like the
Oh yeah,
the basically the detail, the sculpture of the face. You could see the lines.
the
Very
masseters
hard to
are very
find lines in
pronunciated.
jawline.
Yeah, the
And,
masseters are very well pronunciated, very, you know, and also the muscle shoulders, the
yep.
shoulder muscles, the thickness of the front legs here, and also the rear. We have amazing rear on these dogs, and that's something that's lacking in the gene pool over here. So I think that's something that will definitely add to our gene pool.
Yeah, definitely. Just from myself, in my observation, it's that the muscle expression, that having that tight skin, the shoulder set, the frame, the feet, that angulation in the rear, and just packing the muscle on the rear, which is what really drives the dog forward. Love it, especially when you see these dogs on a side stack. You see the musculature, and that expression is really eye-catching, right? It's very
Yes.
impressive and very pronounced. It's almost like seeing a majestic animal in the wild that, you know, it looks incredible. So
Almost like a feline.
there you go. And that's really what caught my attention with the Brazilian dogs, caught my attention with Klaus. And my wife found you. However, we just fell in love with a lot of that substance that you are bringing here, that people are, implementing into their camps. And I'll go into a short story time with Fortuna. I'll bring it up on screen. First, let's look at Fortuna.
Beautiful
Bring it up
girl.
here on my page. So there you go. I'm not going to turn on the volume, but this is the one that you made an announcement of Fortuna, where she's being fed. I mean, what an incredible video of her. And she, you see her in this video, and then when you actually touch her and get to be around her, you're like, wow, this is that dog. She is amazing. So here she is, guys, Fortuna. She's a lilac girl. I mean, just very pronounced girl. For a girl, her muscle expression is ridiculous. And let's see here. Let's go into her embark. She is embark clear. I found this kind of interesting, right? The genetic ancestry result. So, pardon my dogs, guys. So when they do the breakdown, she's 34.8% American Bulldog, 28.6% American Pitbull Terrier. Now the next one's kind of weird to me. It says 23.9% American Bully, right? And 12.7% American Staffordshire Terrier. So let me expand this for our viewers to see. You could see that, right? And this is exactly the story you were telling me earlier of how the dogs were bred there, and categorizing them as American Staffordshire Terrier. What kind of threw me off, though, was the American Bully part, because to me, the American Bully is comprised of all these breeds. And so I kind of question Embark on that one when they say...
Oh, yeah. No, and another thing is, because she already has the pedigree confirming that she is an American Bully, as long as you, and this is what changes their database, as long as you send them the pedigree and demand an exchange of the term of her qualification, they have to put her as an American Bully, because the American Bully is a mixture of many breeds. And since you have the pedigree, they will change to that, and her offsprings are already going to be American Bully.
Correct. And this is why I do the embark, not just for the health, but for the genetic breakdown of the genetic material.
But you can also do a wisdom panel, which is another lab test. I don't know if you heard of it.
I have.
Because they don't recognize American Bully, but the thing that I've seen the most is when the dog is American Bully, where it says American Bully, because Klaus is like 50-something% American Bully. And when I did the wisdom panel, I did both testing on Klaus. I did the wisdom panel of the embark first, and then the wisdom panel, and everything came exactly the same, the breakdown, and he's only like 6.6% Bulldog, 40-something% Pit, and 50-something American Bully. In wisdom panel, everything that was American Bully came as an American Staffordshire Terrier, which, I mean, it's all the breeds that form the bullies, This is, it's kind of contradictory, but...
Yeah, no, correct. And that's exactly why. And for those of you guys who are kind of new to our channel, I'm just going to pull up Araya's Instagram page so you guys can see one of my favorite boys out there, Mr. Klaus himself right here. There he is. Look at the muscle expression on Klausy. Just ridiculous. What an amazing looking boy. Update, guys, really quick. Fortuna's here at Sumo Bully Kennels. Unfortunately, she absorbed. However, it's not the end of the world. We are a little bummed out about it, of course, because we're so excited for that production, and so were a lot of you guys. However, the good thing is that she is healthy, no issues, and she will be ready again for her repeat breeding to Mr. Klaus in June. Why she absorbed could be a lot of things. A lot of that can come from stress factors that a dog deals with. And because we had to get her over here to the U.S., I think a lot of it's just change of environment. However,
Absolutely.
we are repeating that breeding, and here she is on screen. And I'm just going to bring up Mr. Klaus for you guys. If you guys have not seen who Mr. Klaus is, there he is. Just an amazing, I mean, he looks like a pocket in an XL body. Just a ridiculous boy with crazy muscle expression. Very handsome. And this guy is the reason why we became connected and friends with Araya. So I'm going to just leave him on screen. In summary, guys, I'm a huge fan of the Brazilian dogs. I believe they are doing some amazing things down there in Brazil. And, you know, one of my goals one day is to go down there and visit some of the breeders down there and really see the dogs live. I love the muscle expression on the forehead and the jaws. I love the overall substance of muscle expression that they possess. Our vision is to infuse Brazilian blood into our program to create the next generation of freaky looking dogs, right? In planning our vision, we researched a lot of dogs and bloodlines to pull the traits we want. And one thing I understand as a breeder is using genetic material that is consistent with my vision, such as Araya. A lot of the bloodline she has there is amazing, guys. If you're not already tapped in with her, she's an amazing person, an incredible breeder, and just a resource of wealth and knowledge when it comes to dogs, dog breeding, dog transport, name it, or even shows. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, gosh, what an amazing person. I'm so glad to be your friend, and she's helped me out so much, guys.
Likewise.
For choosing our bloodlines. You know, it's something consistent with the phenotype and expression that we like, you know, that baseline foundation that we could add to, you know, and have our own expression of what we want to mix, to add or subtract or whatever, however we want to play with it. This is the part of the journey where, you know, early on during the research phase where we ran into Mr. Klaus online. And we originally thought he was in Brazil. I was like, gosh, we're going to have to go to Brazil to go see this dog. However, thankfully, Araya and Mr. Klaus are here in the U.S., which makes it a lot easier and accessible for anybody in the U.S. to go see him, get a piece of his genetic material, infuse it into what you got going. And the future's looking bright in terms of that. And here now, I mean, just being friends with you, it's from the time we met till now, it's been a very positive contribution towards each other, as well as becoming better friends.
For sure.
And that's what I love about this part.
That's the best part of reading, for sure. It's meeting people, networking, and making friends at the end of the day, you know? Absolutely.
You know, for our viewers, you know, here's my piece of advice for you guys who are starting or just kind of in the early stages of your program. And even for those who are already in it, seek out to do business with people who will provide tremendous value for you, and as well become a resource for your network. When one person wins on your team or network, everyone wins in that group. Exactly. And I really feel very strongly about that. And, you know, it's not just like, oh, you know, they're a big name, I want to get close to them so I can get the rub. It's not that. It's finding good people, and having your own identity, because that you'll get further with that. People who do good, clean work, good, clean business, that every day they inspire you or help you to achieve your goals. Those are kind of people you want to surround yourself with, generally speaking, in life, and especially in this game, guys, because navigating in this industry could be very tricky. You know, it'll take you for a ride if you don't know how to get off the ride. I'll leave it at that. So if you don't like where the car is going, get off the ride. Otherwise, you're going to end up at a destination you're not going to like, with people who you don't want to be in the car with to begin with.
You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree with you more.
You know,
And that's
the
it.
sooner you get off that ride, the better off you'll be, to be honest. And the sooner you understand where you want to go and who you want in the car with you, then life is fun. You could laugh and get to your destination and just, have a good time doing it. For our viewers and new viewers, please check out Araya with Kennels on Instagram. I'll pull up her page real quick. 1 second, guys. There she is. So if you see this, she is meta verified, just like us. There she is with Klausy. So if you want to visit her page, this is her page, guys. And I'll put all the links in the description. She also has a YouTube page, Samba Kennels. I'll put that in the description as well. I want to say thank you to Araya with Samba Kennels for your time and knowledge.
Well, I have to thank you for being here and for being able to share a little bit of this history with you and make sure that people understand, because there's something in breeding that we have to understand. Especially, I've been breeding for many, many years, and I've learned with time that it's very important that we don't say, I'll never do that. I will never do that. I will never. And because things change, some things are important for the evolution of the breed. And sometimes we have to change. We have to change our mindset. And I've changed my mindset in breeding many times. Almost every year, as you learn, and if you're really devoted to breeding, you have to learn how to change your mindset. You have to be open-minded for different opportunities, for bettering the breed, for bettering your program, and for bettering your customer service. And that's my last final little bit of advice here. My 2 cents that I leave with this message about the Brazilian dogs and about my experience with dogs.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm going to piggyback off that. Here, guys, many moons ago in the 80s, there was a guy in the garage. The company started in the garage, right? Apple, a bunch of friends in a garage working on what we're holding now. And now we can take pictures, receive emails, send messages, do business, communicate internationally, all right here. Get the news, get the weather. You have a calculator. Just about any app you can think about is right here. And so that's exactly, and speaking on Aria's point, is that have a vision, right? And don't be scared to shift and make changes. Because if not for those group of dudes in the garage in the 80s, we wouldn't have this right now.
We wouldn't have that, yeah.
So for us, being newer to the industry, not newer to business or breeding, we understand what our end goal is. And some people will see it and some people won't. Again, this is what we're trying to make, right? The next generation of things to come. So, guys, you already know, tap in with us. Our mission statement is to bring you guys quality content to help the community. Come on, there it is. Boop. Takes you 1 second, guys. Just feeling very blessed. Happy Sunday again. I love the Brazilian dogs, and I believe they have a place in mixing. Now, is that a 1 to 3 part mix, 1 to 4 part, 2 to 2, 2 to 8? That's left to be seen, and that's the beauty of creation and creativity, right? I'd rather deal with somebody who, just like the light bulb, man. That guy failed how many times? Over 1,000 times. Everyone thought he was crazy. Without him, we wouldn't have a light bulb, right? Edison.
Exactly.
And so when you guys are looking at breeders, reaching out to breeders, listen to what the breeder's saying. Understand the breeder's mind, not who they are, not their position in the industry, not the car they drive, or whatever else may seem impressive, to the culture of our industry. But listen to what that breeder's saying, because that's going to reflect on the breeder's mindset, their heart, their ethicality, who they are as a person. Remember, you're not doing business with Mr. Klaus. you're doing business with a person holding the leash behind Mr. Klaus. And that's why I chose Araya, because she's a ethical and a good person. Now, she just happens to have an amazing dog, right? However, the dog attracted me to her. She solidified why I should be connected with her, why I should do business with her. So, guys, that's a very, very big one. Super killer tip right there. Am I lying?
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate your words, but it's true. It is true. We gotta do business with people that add value, not only for the dog that they have, but how they treat you, how they value your vision, and that's it.
No, because if you know what, if you don't already know, you will find out. You will get burned in this industry very fast, just like any industry. If you don't choose who you associate with and who you deal with, you will find yourself on the short end of that stick. And the thing about regret is it always kicks you in the butt later at the end. It doesn't kick you in the beginning; it kicks you at the end, and you're like, "Oh, why did I do that?" But that's part of life and living and learning, right? That's what makes us better people. Learning, I believe, the best teacher is mistakes, and that's how we learn.
Trials and errors, of course.
Absolutely. So, with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching our second episode of Sumo and Samba, right? With my amazing co-host.
Thank you. Thank you again for inviting me. It was a pleasure to be here again. And I hope this is the second of many.
Oh, we're going to keep
I love being here.
You guys want a Brazilian dog? There's only one person to get it from. Right there. She'll get the dog here. Guaranteed. Guaranteed 100%. You got my word on it. Because she did it for me and she's done it for herself, as she's done it for many people. Now, if you want already an infused Brazilian blood dog with killer blood here,
which is easier, faster, and cheaper.
She has 2 dogs. The girl is off Zion, Whopper's littermate, Lily and Zion and Tetra, and she's a sister to Whopper, infused with Brazilian blood. I mean, in terms of pedigree, what more can you ask for? And she still has 2 girls left. Guys, jump on it if that's what you're into. If I had more space, I'd take them all. Because I love the girls anyway. So with that said, guys, definitely thank you so much. And we look forward to bringing you guys another awesome episode of Sumo and Samba. Thank you, Araya. And I'll catch you guys. Have a good week, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.